Welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions.
Hey guys.
Tim Durling, Matt Phillips here. We're at Matt's place. And this is a special episode because we're talking about one of Matt's all-time favorite bands, a band I like, INXS.
Might actually be my favorite band. I mean, when it comes down to it, and we'll
If you had
in
to,
a moment.
yeah. So behind you, you'll see some various INXS CDs and a record. That's my stuff. I can't compete with Matt's collection at all. I do have one thing in my own collection I want to talk about, but Matt's got the records, the CDs, the DVDs. He's seen them in concert, and he knows a lot about them. A lot of stuff, the inside stuff I know from INXS, I know because of Matt. So,
And a
so
good
Matt,
part of my collection is thanks to Tim too, actually.
well, I've tried to find some of the vinyl, especially some of the latter day vinyl. So, yeah, Matt, tell us about your INXS. Tell us what you like getting into the band, then we'll get into the music.
Okay, well, I got into the band. I'm not going to talk too long about this, but I got into the band essentially when most of North America got into band
With
the
Kick.
release of Kick.
Yeah.
Saw the video for New Sensation. I was like, who is this band? They've got like a really cool, like a matching look to them, and the singer looked really cool with the ponytail, and the video was like hand animated, and like this is stuff that I don't really normally listen to, but I could really get into this, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah. So they've got a little bit of elements. I mean, first and foremost, they are a rock band.
Yeah.
But they've got elements of R&B and funk.
Exactly.
And just a little bit of everything. And they were a six-piece band, of course. The Ferris brothers, Tim, John, and Andrew.
Yep, that was the original name of the band in
The Ferris brothers.
1977.
Yeah.
So.
And bass player was Gary Beers, Kirk Pengilly on guitar and saxophone, of course, the late great Michael Hutchence on vocals, and yeah, and they I mean, what's more there's to say about INXS? We've got more to say. So
Yeah, when they started out, they were basically kind of like what you would consider a new wave band.
they were in that same sort of bracket as maybe what Duran Duran,
Yeah,
Men
exactly.
at Work,
Yep.
ABC, like they, and
Still finding their way. So
yeah.
Here we've got their very first album.
This is from 1980, and it's self-titled. And what Matt has here is, I believe, a Canadian edition. The first, I believe, two INXS albums only came out in Australia originally.
Yes, exactly.
And then they were issued in Canada. As you can see on the back here, like a lot of the ones I've talked about, this is a Canadian issue. You can tell because of the maple leaf here, how the Warner Group did that to their albums that came out between 80 and 84.
Yeah. Unless you're a huge fan of the band.
This wouldn't be the place to start.
Well, and you've probably never heard most of these songs before.
There's some interesting stuff on here.
Yeah.
Just Keep Walking.
Man, I haven't looked at this stuff in years, so
It's a young, very, very young band.
pretty cool though for your first record. And you've got a lyric sheet, and
Yeah.
here's the Atco label.
Yeah. So Atco, of course, a smaller division of Atlantic, and they had a very unique logo. My Vandenberg records look like this.
Side one,
Yeah.
side two, they're all kind of off-centered. So I guess the big song would be Just Keep Walking.
Yeah. There was a video to that. Yeah.
Yeah, very funny stuff.
So.
So then their second album came out. This is called Underneath the Colors.
This was 1981, and I could tell by, again, before he flips it over, this is another Canadian version on Atco Atlantic. And what was the song, the big song of this one was Stay Young.
Stay
Yeah.
Young. Yeah, so again, just a band trying to find their sound.
And
Really
yeah,
cool sleeve here.
and they weren't, the production really didn't, what am I trying to say? It really didn't bring to life just how dynamic and good they were. It was very bare bones production and low budget production, but fun to listen to now in retrospect. I can see what they became.
Yep.
So
Now I've got a little collection here.
this is
called
cool.
INXS. This is from 1980 to 1982.
This only came out in Australia. I've actually tried to find this on CD for him, and it's like $80 plus. They were, even at this early stage in their career, they were very prolific with B-sides. So you've got such wonderful gems as We Are the Vegetables. And this was on an Australian label called Deluxe.
Wow, what a wild label.
Yeah.
And the same
Believe that it was distributed by RCA in Australia, and Of course, they signed with Atlantic Worldwide in just a little bit after this time period. But that's a rare thing to have.
Okay. So the first album that kind of broke INXS outside of Australia.
Yeah.
They're still relatively new at this point. Their third album.
How do you say it?
Shabu Shaba.
Shabu Shuba. This is 1982. Yeah, this was their worldwide, the first thing to come out worldwide. And this had 2 songs which would become singles. Their first US Top 40 single, which was The One Thing. And one of my personal favorite INXS songs, Don't Change. Those both were quite popular videos on the then fairly new MTV. That's a wild...
Controversial picture.
Yeah. And this one, they're starting to sound more like the INXS that most people know.
Exactly.
And this again, a Canadian issue of this album. Another weird bit of trivia, I believe, now there could be more, this is the only INXS album that ever came out on 8-track.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now we've got some
Some
remixes.
EP?
Yeah, I used to have this on cassette.
Decadence.
Decadence or Decadence, Decadence. And it's got 4 songs on side 1. So all their most famous songs at the time.
This is a US version on Atco.
So there's The One Thing, To Look At You. I guess I forgot to mention that one.
Yeah, and they're extended. Like the One Thing on here is 626. So it's a, so that's an original Atlantic sleeve that would have come in originally.
That's
And
cool.
I would expect that there you go. That's the Atco label they were using at that time. It's a repeating pattern, and up at the top it's the actual logo. So I don't think this was ever put out on CD. If it was, it's rare. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it
So
either.
it's just one of those cool things to have.
Now,
Up another rung.
yeah, so this is from, I believe this is from 1984?
I think so, yeah.
This is INXS The Swing. Now, this was actually the second album by INXS that I ever bought after I got the one
Got
that
into
we're going to
them?
talk about. Yeah, so the label wanted them to work with Nile Rodgers.
Yeah.
Who's known for working with Duran Duran.
Yeah, he was a
and,
member of Chic, and he
yeah.
worked with Duran Power Station. A lot of different people that aren't necessarily Madonna. A lot of
Sorry,
different.
Tim, got a real kind of interesting gatefold here.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm seeing a lot of these in literally 10 years. I've had them framed on my wall in my office for that long since I bought my house, so kind of enjoying looking at this stuff.
So yeah, collage of photos there.
Yep. So the big hits from this one, well, the songs that people would know: Original Sin,
Melting in the Sun was a video, and I think Burn for You.
Burn for You was a video.
Original Sin, probably the best known song.
Yeah, there's quite a few videos for this one. I sent a message, The Swing, they did videos for all of those. Actually, while we're talking about videos, this is where they started working with Richard Lowenstein, who did a lot of their famous videos.
And their videos have held up quite well. Like they're very stylish, you know, from as far as 80s videos go.
Yeah.
They were a young band, they were in on that, you know, let's
yeah,
really
and they
present the
they
band.
had the look for,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So what do we have here?
We've got a little white label single for 12-inch. So this is Burn for You.
That's really cool. So
And
it's
then
just
an
a blank.
extended remix version, so it says on here. I'll just take it out of the sleeve for you.
It's cool that it's got a little promo sticker on it. So this is
Yeah.
probably a US.
Promotional, not for sale.
Yeah. Yet he bought it.
So no doubt, maybe this would have come from a record company or.
Yeah, this would have been something promotional cup. This would have been distributed to either a record store or a radio station.
Yep.
One or the other. So now, it's steps and steps and steps. But the one that really broke them is, well, it's behind here, and Matt's got not one but 2 records of
Yeah.
this.
Now this is a little bit confusing.
Oh.
But I'll show you
Okay,
why.
yeah, all right.
So
I just noticed that.
this is the actual album that came out in 1985. This is Listen Like Thieves.
Yeah.
So this, I believe, had their first top 40 hit.
This had their first top 5. What You
Top
Need.
5 hit? Oh, okay,
yeah, the
yeah.
one thing it cracked the top 40, but What You Need was the top 5 single.
Opening
Kiss the
track.
Dirt came off of this, the title song. This was a really strong album for them.
Another gatefold.
Yeah, which is, it shows me that the record label is willing to put a little money into them, because gatefolds cost more money just because it uses up more material. Probably taken somewhere in Australia.
Yeah, I would say maybe while they were doing a video for
Kiss the Dirt video.
Kiss the Dirt.
Yeah,
exactly, Tim.
so there's
Let's have a look inside here. I'm kind of thrilled to see that most of my records have the sleeves and everything.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't looked at these for a while. Nice.
this time was a
sleeve.
video off of this
Yes.
too. Yeah.
That video was known for having a lot of those. I guess they call them Vari-Lights, like computer controlled.
Oh, where it's like they'll
yeah,
by themselves.
And everything's kind of pre-programmed, and that was
like, now we're going to spotlight on this side of the stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
So that was that album.
So yeah, I don't think I've seen this before.
Okay, well this is you're like, well, this is the same one we just looked at. It's actually just Listen Like Thieves, the live version, and Kiss the Dirt, in like a 12-inch
Yeah,
format.
I've never seen that
so,
before. That, like, and it's identical to the actual album cover.
Yeah.
And so by now they weren't on Adco, they were on the actual Atlantic logo. So it's got the distinctive red and green Atlantic logo, and you could tell by looking at the record, if it shows up there, there's one song on each. There's not.
Yeah.
There's just one big band on here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, having that dance sound to them, it lent itself to the extended remixes, which brought them an audience that most rock bands wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not done with the Listen Like Thieves era either, because there's more singles to talk about here.
I love finding. There's only a few bands what I actually really collect, like the picture sleeves and the big 12-inch singles. So here is What You Need.
That's from the video. I think all these photos are
Mm-hmm.
actually from the video. The video had a distinctive look too.
Yep.
Mixing, I don't know what you'd call it.
Well, it's the same idea. If you've ever seen the video for Aha's Take on Me, where they took each cell of film and then
Animated it?
animated
Yeah.
it hours and hours and hours. And
Now they could do it,
yes, exactly.
Well, it would still take hours, just not as many.
Yeah. So, put that over.
So has this got any B-sides that aren't on any album? Because I know they have a lot of those.
Yeah, it's got extended remixes, and as far as B-sides though,
Not
no,
on
just
the-
just different.
But they do have a lot of non-album tracks. Matt didn't mention this, he was being discreet, but I actually found a 45 of The One Thing, which had a B-side which was not on any of the albums, called Phantom of the Opera, Tim as in Tim Ferriss, and I mailed it to him with no bubble wrap, no nothing, and it arrived when you lived
shards.
in Ontario in shards. It was like a puzzle, and it was like, thanks anyway.
It happens.
Yeah.
That was quite a few years ago. Here's that exact same single.
Yeah, this is just the
essentially.
standard picture sleeve
But
version.
I see on here,
Aha.
there's a B-side.
Sweet as Sin.
Sweet as Sin.
So probably recorded during the Listen Like Thieves sessions.
Yeah.
And that's what the Atlantic singles looked like at the time.
I'll check one of these out sometime. There's Sweet as Sin.
It's fun finding singles with different songs on them.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm
yet
sure
frustrating when they don't put them out on CD.
Yeah, pretty sure that's never really appeared on anything else either. Here's the extended remix for the title track.
Listen Like Thieves.
So you've got some live versions and a song called
Begotten. Yeah, that's another B-side.
Mm-hmm.
Exists on...
I'll just show you the bottom of that one.
haven't seen any personalized labels yet,
Nope.
but I'm sure we will once they get into more. So
So
now
that was 1985's Listen Like Thieves.
Yeah.
Pretty much the album that I would say really broke the band worldwide.
It kicked the door open. Listen Like, say if we're going to use a Def Leppard comparison, Listen Like Thieves was like Pyromania.
Very good.
It was very successful, few hits off of it, and the world was listening for what came next.
Okay.
And what came next was their biggest selling album ever.
In 1987, we got Kick.
Yeah. What a great year that was for albums. Yeah. So this is, what do you got there? That's a Canadian version on Atlantic. And
Yep.
I mean, if people had one INXS album, it was this. I mean, this was not just an album for INXS fans. This was a phenomenon. It was.
I wanted to show the spread on the
Yeah.
whole thing put out.
What's-
So hilariously, they'd already finished the album. Atlantic Records is like, we're not really happy with this. We're going to pay you $1 million to go back to the studio and re-record this album.
None of the same songs?
Sorry?
Was it any of the same songs that they?
No, they never did it. They're like,
oh, they never did.
No, I don't think. No, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
that they're like.
Oh, I see what you mean. They didn't want to release this, so this
Yeah.
just shows you sometimes the record labels haven't got a clue
Yep.
because this is their biggest album ever.
Yep. So let's have a look inside.
And if you can start to list in your head like 3 or 4 songs by INXS right off the top of your head, I bet they all come from this album.
Yep.
So there's all the lyrics and.
So right down the line.
Yeah. So Need You Tonight, Devil Inside, New Sensation, Never Tear Us Apart, all top 5 hits at least. Need You Tonight was the #1 single. What's funny about the gatefold, the front and back cover, that sort of starts off the Need You Tonight video and kind of comes to life.
Yep.
So, they were that was their moment. Like that was
Absolutely.
so. There's a lot of good stuff on there, and then
Yeah,
it was.
I just want to give a shout out to my friend James. He got me a picture disc.
Yeah, this is
INXS.
cool.
I don't normally have a lot of these. It's gotten a little yellow over time,
Yeah. But that looks very cool.
Check that out. Yeah, the same thing on the back. There's a.
Lists all the song titles, this side, that side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna get into some of the singles from the album. Here's Need You Tonight.
And as on the album, Need You Tonight goes right into Mediate. And this has a song called I'm Coming Home,
Yep.
which don't believe is any on any of their studio albums.
Yep. And again, the same kind of.
Yeah, the same
Label that
Atlantic
we used to
label.
see.
Yeah.
And have a little picture disc version of that too. Same idea.
Yeah. This one kind of speaks for itself. That's Devil Inside.
Devil Inside.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks is another song.
What's cool is they put the time in their singles. I mean, even any of these single covers could have been an album cover in their own right.
Yep. So again, you're only seeing one song.
One song, yeah. Oh, you don't normally see them with a barcode on the label
No,
itself.
no.
That's kind of odd. It's interesting.
And the big ballad, Never Tear Us Apart.
That's a cool cover too.
Yep.
That could have been an album cover.
Yep. So they're the band in like a picture frame.
What's on the B side of that? Different World.
Mm-hmm.
From the movie Crocodile Dundee.
How Australian can
Yeah.
you get, eh?
Move on.
Yeah.
Oh, so 2.
Was that a #1 single for them?
No, it wasn't in the States anyway, surprisingly enough.
Okay.
I think Need You Tonight was their only #1 in the States. That one's got a barcode on it as well. I'm pretty sure I've never seen, maybe it was just for singles at this time, but that's what's fascinating. But even after years of collecting records, you still notice things that you never noticed before.
Yeah. No. Interestingly, I was married in 2011.
Yeah,
And my wife walked down.
that was a special moment.
To Never Tear Us Apart.
And I remember it came on. I'm like,
see this here.
of course it is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She got me this for a little wedding anniversary gift.
It's a guitar. Is it supposed to be a guitar pick?
Yeah, guitar pick with the Never Tear Us Apart and the Yuri.
Yeah,
Married, so.
awesome.
And
More singles.
The single actually got me into the band.
New Sensation.
New Sensation.
And that has Guns in the Sky, Kick-Ass Mix.
Yep.
This is a Canadian single.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it's got the...
Same
It does
old-
not have the barcode on it.
The barcode with the same old
Yeah, same Atlantic label.
kind of label.
Yeah.
All right.
But wait, there's more.
Now this looks like it might have come from a record company. This is Mystify. Here's another little promo.
And it's got a
Almost
small
single.
hole in it. It doesn't have the...
Yeah, you could kind of punch it out if you wanted to.
yeah.
But
So there you go. That was just a promotional copy. That's usually tell if it's the same song on both sides.
still pretty dusty.
And
So that's it for Kick.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much their hysteria, right?
Yes,
You know.
exactly. Yeah.
So 3 years before the next INXS studio album. Now we're getting into an area where it's not so easy to find the vinyl. So he's got a lot of vinyl still to show you, which is cool.
Now this album, on the surface, it's very similar to
Kick.
I feel like it has like some interesting moods and stuff on it, and I mean, as a fan, I still really love this album.
It's just called X.
Yep, love the album artwork.
Yeah. And I remember when it came out, I was thinking, well, X is it their 10th album, but no, it meant it was 10 years since their first album came out.
Very cool pictures of the black and white pictures of the band.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Gary's got like an acrylic see-through bass.
He must, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that copy you have is actually, I believe it must be a European copy because it's not on Atlantic, it's on Phonogram, which Phonogram was their worldwide label. And so you can find different INXS albums. You can find the same INXS album on different labels depending on where you get it.
Yep. Well, I guess that was...
It's got all the lyrics, and then it's got the credits, and you got to turn it sideways to read it all. So the big hits of this one were Suicide Blonde, Disappear, Bitter Tears, By My Side was a ballad off of this. Now we've got a personalized label on the record itself.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You don't see this one on vinyl that much.
I've had that one for quite a while. Probably would have gotten it in the 90s. Now here's some of the singles off the album.
Suicide Blonde.
So that's the girls actually from the video. Which, if you've ever seen the video, it's kind of constantly.
They keep coming at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is on Atlantic. So it's Canadian actually. It's a Canadian single.
Yep. It's got some kind of.
It must have belonged to a radio station at one
Yeah,
time.
and then your.
Same Atlantic logo, and this.
Yep. And it's got a song called "Everybody Wants You Tonight."
Huh. They're very prolific.
Yeah.
But they wrote more songs than an album could hold.
Now, I remember hearing about this song, Bitter Tears. I thought I remember someone on like one of the VJs on Much Music saying this was kind of where the decline for INXS had started, like their first song not to...
It was their first, after they'd started having hits, it was their first one to miss the top 40. I think it got to 46 or something like that. And this happens to most bands. Well, now we're back to the Barcode.
Yep. And there's a song on here called
The Other Side.
The Other Side. Oh, this one's really dirty. I've gotta watch that.
Yeah,
Now we're really getting into the 90s.
Yeah, now they released a live album in 1991, Live Baby Live, but that is really expensive on vinyl.
Yep.
Really expensive on vinyl. So the next studio album, now correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, this is your favorite. Is this not your favorite by them or one of them?
Yeah, so, I mean,
Tough to pick a favorite?
Kick is their best album.
Right.
This is their most adventurous album. I mean, I kind of go back and forth. At one point, like The Swing was like my favorite album for a long time, but this has got some really cool stuff on it. They've got 60-piece orchestras, and they really went like all out on this one.
Yeah. So this is
Welcome to Wherever You Are from 1992.
And this is on Phonogram again, or Mercury, Mercury. So their worldwide label. And the cover art is interesting because the record, cassette, and CD all had different pictures with a sort of a unified theme. They all had this sort of logo on it, but and I think that all of the artwork appears inside the.
I think so, yeah. And these are boys like from I don't know if they're from a choir or like some kind of boys...
militia or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all feature photos of those guys. So, let's have a look at
There's
the
a lot in here, yeah.
Stylistically, I just love this period of the band. They were back into wearing the matching suits and just like really super cool.
Probably the the biggest song off this album. The highest charting song was Not Enough Time, but Taste It was a cool song off of here. Heaven Sent
was a single. Yep.
Beautiful Girl was another hit song off of it, or another video. They made a lot of videos. And it's got the...
Now this one's got sort of the lyric sheet.
Yeah, not a sleeve, just a sheet.
Yep. It's made to look like you kind of... One of those things where you punch it out.
Punch the
and
holes.
kind of,
yeah, I actually used to have one of those.
And the vinyl's got a custom label too, which is kind of cool. Matches that theme too. Put over.
Yeah. We're really getting into vinyl that you do not see very often at this point. So you'll notice none of these ones are on Atlantic because they just weren't manufacturing vinyl in North America at this point, but they still were overseas. But although you do have an Atlantic single from this period, which is interesting.
This is Taste It. Probably their most controversial video. All kinds of debauchery and crazy stuff going on. It's through the eyes of these kids that are watching these strange things gonna happen. Really love the tune too.
There's different mixes. So that's a cappella. This is a clubbed alive, or clubbed twice.
Clubbed twice.
And instrumental / guitar. So if anybody out there thinks they could sing like Michael Hutchence, you can put this on and good luck. So
now the very next album,
which came out quite quickly, 1993. This is
very,
college days for us.
Yeah, and the band felt very creative at this time, and they're like, we just want to go and record another record. This was actually a fairly tumultuous time for the band.
Yeah.
Long story short, Michael Hutchence had suffered a bit of a head trauma injury, and it kind of changed his personality a bit. And we're talking about 1993 here, so this is deep into
the grunge era.
So I didn't even know they were working on an album. I wasn't even expecting them to come up with something so quickly.
It kind of came out of nowhere because they'd only just released an album the year before, and we were used to at least a 2-year wait at this point from bands.
And I was with a friend. We were at like a record store, Record Town in Calais, and someone said, "Hey, there's this new INXS album out, and it kind of looks like a bootleg." I'm like, "What is this all about?"
Yeah.
No, as it turns out, it's
Full Moon, Dirty Hearts.
Dirty Hearts. So this album, they went to the Isle of Capri in Italy. It's a well-documented trip. Let me just show you.
There was a much music special about that, wasn't there?
Yes. You can see the band. Oh, they were basically. It's one of those places like if you've heard about Headley Grange for Led Zeppelin. It's a place where you go to.
Move in and record.
Yeah, and you're kind of away from everything.
Yeah.
And
it's like it's a nice hard cardboard. Sleeve here.
Yeah, they. Won't be able to read it all here, but there's quite a story. I think. As told by Kirk Pengilly, I think kind of wrote about like a little mini diary about how long it took for them to get from Australia to this little island off of Italy, and all the different things, the planes and the trains and the automobiles literally, and the boats, literally paddling out to get to the studio. So
how'd they get all the gear there? Or
Exactly. I really like this album too. I mean, it's in the grunge era. It's got a few little. It's probably got some of their hardest songs they've ever
written.
The
Gift is a really cool song. So this is on Mercury. This is an international version. Yeah, Time is a good song off of this one too. Yeah,
did a great live video for that one.
Yeah,
like Tim mentioned, The Gift.
The Gift is
pretty
awesome.
Sure that was.
There's Isn't there a song with Ray Charles on here?
Yes. Please, you got that. So this is also, to promote this album, this was the very first album that ever came out where a band, they did like a promo video for every single song.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't use professional videographers for everything. They actually looked to students for a lot of the videos. And they kind of tied it all together in this sort of like...
A story?
Yeah, there's like a tree with all these picture frames, and they would kind of zoom in and out from each one, go into this video, then we're into this video. That's how they kind of tied it all together. Fans have been clamoring for them to put this out.
Like on DVD
Yeah,
Blu-ray,
they just never have. So,
yeah. That's cool.
You can watch it on YouTube. And
so now we're at the. They put out a greatest hits album in '94, but the next studio album to come out wasn't until 1997. Unfortunately, this was the last one with Michael Hutchence. This was the same year that he died, and
so
all I could find for Matt on this one was a reissue. But
but the spring of 1997. So this is
Elegantly Wasted. Title song, one of my favorite INXS tracks. They. What do you think of this album as a whole?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It confused me at first because they released some samples of it. So we're talking about 1997. This is still early days for what most people would consider like the internet. So they did a song, track 5, called Searching. It's like a really, really kind of wistful, slow, like kind of ballad.
Yeah.
And they released a version of this as the first thing people would
hear.
And I was like, what is going on with this record? Like,
Yeah.
this is... Anyway, ended up absolutely loving that song and the entire album. It reminds me of Welcome to Wherever You Are, as far as, you know, they're trying different things,
and for like fans of like more traditional hard rock, you might be interested to know this album was actually produced by Bruce Fairbairn. It was the one and only time they worked with him.
Yep.
But it did okay. It was kind of a comeback for them. Unfortunately, that was the same year that Michael Hutchence died, all within like October or November.
November.
Yeah.
So within like 6 or 7 months.
Back to that, you talked about him getting injured. Didn't he lose his sense of taste?
Exactly.
So it really messed with him, and it's just, you never think about that. Imagine if you couldn't taste anything.
Yeah.
It just would be pretty bad. And one more piece of vinyl. This is interesting. So in between Kick and X, Michael Hutchence formed a side band.
Yeah, so Michael Hutchence and this guy, Ollie Olson, created... Now, this is Max Q. This is actually only the single for the album. I haven't actually found the entire album on vinyl yet, but this is for...
Way of the World.
Way of the World.
How does this compare to INXS?
It's very electronica, like, for the time. So, it's kind of cool. It's very repetitive. It's a decent record. There's quite a few things on here. Goes to the year 020, and then there's a 12-inch mix of...
So this is on Atlantic as INXS, where usually if a member of a successful band wanted to do something on the side, they'd say, well, here, we'll put this out for you too. So that's Matt's impressive vinyl INXS collection. Now he's going to go over his equally impressive CD collection, because not all of these early CDs especially are easy to find on disc.
Yeah. So we'll quickly go through them. Here's the first album.
Pretty much everything that's inside the vinyl you'll see here. That's a Canadian CD version of the first INXS album. You really don't see, especially the first couple, you don't see them that much. And that's what the Atlantic CDs usually look like.
You know. Second album.
Underneath the colors, it's a US CD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you want me to dig out the inserts?
No,
and
probably
stuff?
it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
So Shabu Shaba. Now this is like a lot of the early CDs. It would put the Warner right. That's not a sticker. It's right on
Printed
right on the cover. Yeah. Yeah. And the Swing.
Never fully got into those first 3 records like as a whole, but this one for sure. After I bought Kick,
that was the next one.
This is the next one only because I went to like a Sam the Record Man, and this was what
they had
cassettes at the time, and that's what they had, so that's what I got.
It's a little different looking CD. I think that's a pretty early CD there because it doesn't have any color on it. Next, of course, Listen Like Thieves. I was surprised they've never done a deluxe version of this album.
Yeah, actually.
And maybe they have in Australia, I don't know. That's what your Atlantic CDs tended to look like. Yep. Now I'm going to jump in because I guess I said everything in the back here you see, those are mine. I held one out, and I'm going to look it and I'm going to show you why I held it out. Probably very similar to what Matt has here, but then again, it might not be.
So here's Kick.
Yeah. So why did I hold out their most popular album? Well, I bought this album used, and when I bought it, I was really surprised. Well, first thing is when I bought it, it had the wrong disc in it. It had X in it. It had a disc of X. But also, if you look, like the back cover looks the same, but if you look at the side, it's not on Atlantic, it's on Mercury, which I mentioned that was their worldwide label. So this is actually from the Netherlands, or it was printed in West Germany. So somehow I ended up finding this one. So not only did it have different serial number and everything, it also came with this, which those must have been the only INXS discs that were available at the time. So I've got, so I bought a second one in the same pawn shop just so I could have the CD. So there's the Atlantic CD, and I've got 2 booklets with this.
Quite a collection.
And the booklets are pretty much identical, except for the fact that that's a US Atlantic CD, and this has the Mercury serial number on it. Inside of it, I'm pretty sure everything is the same, but it's got that key. Well, this one folds out differently. It's probably more like the one Matt has. I wanted to highlight that. That's the only reason I kept that one out. Yeah. But you've got a even cooler version of Kick.
Yeah. Now there is a 25th anniversary edition of Kick, like a big box set. Sadly, I've never been able to afford to buy it or find it.
Those box sets for single albums are usually quite pricey.
But I do have the 30th anniversary edition. So this is actually the original album on CD. We've got some demos, B-sides, remixes, and then there's a Dolby Atmos version of Kick. And something I actually just realized about a month ago, all the promo videos for Kick are on here. This is the first time on anything they've released like modernly.
That's not a VHS.
Yeah, that all the promo videos have been on there. I've got a few other DVDs of theirs, and
I wish more bands would do that. Kiss. So yeah, that's cool. So now you've got.
Moving on to X.
Yep.
So I think it's interesting if you compare the cover of this to
the record,
to the album. Yeah, so you're like, well, you can't.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I might as well just pull this one.
Yeah.
If I can just show you how this goes.
While you're doing that, I'll.
But well, they'll be able to see. So they've tried to make the design that was done for the record.
So that's just one corner of it.
Yeah, and they've tried to do it interesting for the CD.
Yeah.
This kind of folds out.
Same green and blue pattern that's inside the record sleeve.
So there you've got a nice poster.
Yeah.
And the same photos that we saw. And that
looks just like the
custom label.
It looks just like the record label itself.
Yeah.
So next we got one. Matt's got one that's not.
No.
He doesn't have the vinyl for.
I do have the live album. Live Baby Live or Live Baby Live.
Yeah, which is it? I've never heard anybody actually articulate what the title is.
I believe those are all the song titles, and then some places that they play.
So Rio de Janeiro,
Yeah.
I think they played Wembley on that tour.
Yeah.
Personalized disc. The disc looks really cool.
Yeah.
So this is from 1991.
Yeah, let's have a look at the.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna see what this looks like. So lots of photos and a little bit of write-up about that concert. Now, so Kick was their biggest album, but as far as INXS playing their biggest show,
It was this tour.
it was this tour.
Yeah.
They played in Wembley
Stadium?
which doesn't exist anymore. I'm
No.
pretty sure they tore that down quite
Yeah,
a while
there's still a
ago.
Wembley Arena, I think,
Yeah.
but not Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, it's that crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was the
So this would have originally come out on VHS. I remember seeing Much Music played a shortened version of this sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 There's quite a few extra songs on here that you wouldn't have seen, and there's backstage footage from 1991 and stuff. So this one was remastered for DVD. Let's take a look at the book here, but kind of like a little souvenir of everything that was going on. So the biggest crowd, I'm sure, I think it was around 70,000 people.
Yeah, it's an enormous crowd of people.
So you hear bands say that, we played Wembley well.
Not Wembley Arena. Like Wembley Arena is probably 10,000. That's impressive, but stadium is it's another level.
Yep.
So we'll refresh your memory on Welcome to Wherever You Are, because I said that each of the formats came out looking slightly different. So this is the front cover of Welcome to Wherever You Are on vinyl.
Okay. Now I've got 2 CD versions of this. Here's your standard kind of
Jewel case.
standard jewel case version.
Do you remember what the cassette looked like?
Yes, I do. It was like a pyramid of the boys.
Yes, that's right.
On top of each other. And basically the same stuff.
Like you're making labels and sticking it on
the
the CD.
and the same stuff is inside the booklet that we saw inside the record.
And you got an interesting.
But now this is one of those. I can almost
Digipacks?
never figure out how to properly open these.
Yeah.
But so it's the plastic thing. Let's see if I can remember.
It's like
how
a
to even...
half plastic, half
There we go.
cardboard sort of hybrid.
Yeah.
And
so there's actually
this is good because this will show you. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, kind of goes both ways here, but we'll take it.
So that photo there, that would have been on the cassette, and then it's got the.
So let's look at the 3.
Yeah. So they're very smart. Very smart marketing how they did. So that's the CD. Next is the vinyl, and then that's the cassette photo.
Yep. And then it just has a little booklet inside with the same stuff.
Yeah, I forgot about those because those aren't your usual digipacks like they make anymore. Those are.
I only have a few of these. Every time I see them, even if they're in rough shape, I pick them up.
Don't break one.
Yeah, exactly.
So now this is Full Moon Dirty Hearts.
Yep.
And like we said, like the vinyl's harder to find. This is on Atlantic's because they were still on Atlantic. It's just, although that's the last studio album they did for Atlantic.
Okay. Now I've got a few versions of The Gift. Now, they looked for a really well-known photographer to do the marketing for this record. He did some of their VHS covers and the singles, and you'll probably recognize the inspiration for this photo. So Helmut Newton taking a photo of INXS doing the Last Supper.
Last Supper, yeah.
Last Supper kind of pose. This is another one of those
strange little. Now, is there any? So it's just the one song on here.
Yep.
With some
Interestingly,
tour
it's got
dates.
some tour dates. We got Montreal, Canada.
Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah.
INXS, and they've even said this themselves. They've always they kind of broke in Canada before they broke in the States. I think Much Music had a lot to do with that. So here, I forgot about these types of CD singles too. Those slim cases. This is a Mercury version, so it's obviously a European. This is made in England right on it. Same cover photo. And what's on that?
Born to Be Wild and The Gift bonus beat mix.
All right. So now, 1994. I mean, by now they've amassed, enough hit singles to put out the greatest hits. So this came out.
I don't know about I don't know what they were thinking of with the artwork on this one. I wasn't really a fan.
They might not have had much to do with it. It might have been mostly the record label just kind of throwing it together. Now, there was one new song on here, was there not?
Oh,
Strangest
The
Time-
Strangest Party.
Party.
These are the times. Yeah, they did an interesting video to that one. Love that song. It's got some really cool bass stuff to it. This is a really good introduction to INXS.
So it basically just says all the song titles, probably the album that they came from.
Yeah.
That's another bit of vinyl that was never reissued subsequently. It's extremely expensive to buy a version directly from 1994.
Yeah.
They probably had as
And-
much to do with the design of that as Skid Row had to do with the design of that 40 Seasons.
Ah.
The label just put it together, threw it out,
Exactly.
hope that it stuck. So yeah,
No, their final album with Michael Hutchence again. This is
Elegantly
my
Wasted.
original. I'm pretty sure this would have been the first album of theirs that I bought
On CD.
on CD,
Yeah.
like as the
Chronologically, it makes sense.
1997.
And so now, for the first time, INXS were on Mercury, like Polygram,
Sides.
worldwide. So yeah. And somehow, you ended up with 2 versions of this.
Yeah. Don't really need to show. I don't think there's anything different in here, but
Pretty much the same.
I think I was finding that they're hard to come by, and I just happened to see one in the wild, and I'm like, well, maybe I better pick that up in case.
So now you've got what's a DVD that they did on that tour? Is that what this is here?
Oh
This
yeah.
one?
This is INXS Mystify. I was always curious if this was an actual, like, official release or not.
Rock Palast. I've seen a lot
so
of
this
clips
is
from this
from
show.
Europe somewhere. INXS on a German TV series, Rock Palast.
Yeah.
And so this has got, obviously songs from the album Elegantly Wasted and Girl on Fire, and it's also got
Some older songs.
and it's also got, it goes back to a show that they did, really famous show in 1984. So
So they're doing Just Keep Walking, The One
Yeah.
Thing, some early stuff.
So I'm still not really positive this was. I mean, it's
Well,
put out
Eagle
by
Vision.
Vision,
So it was probably one of those that this company, and Eagles put out a lot of good home videos. I'm pretty sure they do the classic albums series.
Yeah.
And this Rock Palast had the rights to it, so they didn't have to even go through the band. They just put it out.
Yeah, and that's the last video archive of Michael.
Yeah. So of course now the commemorative stuff comes out.
This is probably the best little collection of INXS music you can find. This one is fairly expensive to buy now. It's 2 discs. It's got everything on it.
It's even got Good Times
Yeah.
with Jimmy Barnes
that's
from
right,
the Lost
yeah,
Boys
the Lost
soundtrack.
Boys soundtrack.
Great tune.
Yeah.
This came out in 2001, and it's Atlantic, but Rhino put it out. And if Rhino puts it out, they put a lot of care into it.
Yep.
So,
Here's disc 1.
and there's a lot of unreleased stuff on here too. Is
Yeah,
there not?
exactly.
Some of their early B-sides and.
Let's have a look at disc 2. So songs like Let It Ride never appeared on an album before.
There's a few different
here.
mixes of some of the songs.
Yep.
So it's as recent as Elegantly Wasted, and that's the great thing about when Rhino puts it out. They usually are pretty successful at getting the rights to use tracks from other labels, such sort of like the Alice Cooper box set. I mean, you've got 3 or 4 different labels worth of stuff on there.
Wrote a
Pretty
nice
thick
little
booklet that came
nice
with
booklet.
it. Yeah. And here's one that I actually have. This came out. Usually, what Rhino would do is they would put out a multi-disc, either a box set or a multi-disc, and then they just put out a single-disc version of it, and that's, I believe, what this is.
Yeah,
Best
so
of
21
INXS.
tracks.
This is a good introduction as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I even I wasn't in any hurry to pick this up because I've already got all this stuff. There's nothing really outstanding on here, like that wasn't available anywhere else. So I think I've got this used somewhere. It's not the best condition, but found it somewhere.
So, I mean, it seemed like that was it for INXS. They tried with didn't they try with a couple of singers?
Yes.
The turn of the 2000s.
Yeah, John Stevens, I think
Yeah.
in 2002.
Yeah.
They actually did a couple with
Oh, I know who you mean.
Terrence Trent
Trent
D'Arby,
yeah.
which a lot of the fans love.
Yeah.
And then in 2005, they were approached by Mark Burnett, who from Survivor fame, the
Producer
reality
of that
TV,
show. Yeah.
to do this show Rockstar.
And the premise of this was to audition a singer.
Yeah.
Now I didn't watch. I think I watched one episode. You must
I
have.
watched it. I've rewatched it and watched it again.
So this is a very divisive.
Yeah, time for the band. So you either love the guy that they chose or you do not. And we're going to get into that right now. So I've got two versions of
I've got one right over there too.
the CD that they did with Canadian
Maritimer.
He grew up about 3 or 4 hours from here. So you can imagine. He was born literally like 10 days before me, the same year. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Crazy.
yeah.
J.D. Fortune.
J.D. Fortune was the lead singer for INXS Switch from 2005.
This time around, they were on Sony Epic.
Yep.
And I'm just going to say it. I had no trouble with JD. I thought he sounded enough like Michael to sing the songs correctly, and I thought there was some strong material on here. They actually did score a minor hit with Pretty Vegas. It was got a lot of airplay and from
It was
someone
huge in Canada. I think it was at least a top 40
well,
hit.
in speaking as somebody that's in the radio business, because JD co-wrote,
Yep.
it was enough to classify as Canadian content. So it got a ton of play. Devil's Party also got played, as did Afterglow. But Pretty Vegas was the song that got the most attention. And
Yeah.
I think they co-wrote with Desmond Child on here, did they not? Some of the songs?
And actually, they worked with a guy Robbie Williams from the UK.
Yeah.
His producer, Guy Chambers, the guy that he
Yeah.
wrote all his biggest hits with, is who produced this record.
So, but some people couldn't handle the fact that they continued with anybody, and you've got another copy of this.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a time when I guess the record companies really were trying to figure out, how do we keep selling CDs? Because they were on decline.
And then there was
way back
Napster,
when.
and
Yeah, so this is one of those. You'd buy the album, and they'd also throw in a DVD.
okay, so it was a dual disc. It was
Yeah.
a
So this is-
two-sided.
Yeah, I'll open it up for you, but this is it actually has the album in enhanced stereo, and then you've got your Pretty Vegas video and the making of the album. So this is one of those things that kind of
That's a different type of case again.
pops open like that.
So one side's a DVD.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see right there, and then I'll just kind of.
I actually don't think I have any CDs like this, but I know that they were, especially Sony, were pumping them out at the time.
Yep.
Oh, what's this? What's this?
I like to keep my ticket stubs. Unfortunately, I haven't kept them all through the years, but managed to see INXS twice on this tour, and I saw them in Moncton and in Fredericton in back-to-back nights. So I kept my ticket stubs.
That must have been one of the last times did they play the Aiken Center?
Yes.
That's got to be one of
Yeah.
the last, because you never hear about concerts there anymore.
Yeah, and the strange thing was, I'd heard that it was one of the only times that the band never did a meet and greet after the show, and afterwards I'd heard about fans meeting JD at the bar at the Delta Brunswick Hotel. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
could have been there, but I got to tell you, the Moncton crowd was amazing. They were like
Into it.
You've heard about like Quebec being a really rowdy crowd.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing in Moncton.
And so they commemorated the. So what do you got there? Is that's a DVD of the Rockstar show?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, for whatever reason, they never released the entire
Series?
Rockstar series. They just did
Like highlights?
some of
or-
the highlights. Yeah, so here's A Night at the Mayan Theater, the DVD. It's got a little intro from JD, and it's got some of the cool performances. We've got the very first song, JD came out and did California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas, and he was absolutely like insane. He just went kind of crazy. The adrenaline's kicking in. He's doing these weird moves, and the band were initially like, "Who is this kid? Like what?"
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's
And then a few years later, they were like, "Who is this guy?" Still not to this day, not quite sure what transpired there.
Yeah.
But they parted ways twice. So.
yeah. Now, after JD joined the band, and I knew that they were coming around, I had to go see them live, and I joined their fan club online so that I could get access to pre-sale tickets and that sort of thing. And being in the fan club, well, first of all, show you some of this stuff here. I got 2 copies of these. I assume because I bought tickets for 2 different shows.
Oh,
These are
okay.
literally just free like fan club DVDs that they would have sent.
Was it
me
in
the
Russian
mail.
or something?
Yeah, that's a good question, Sophia.
Bulgaria. Okay.
Yeah, Bulgaria. Yeah. So.
Is it a concert?
What is this? Fan club DVD. I think it's just sort of like a thank you to the fans. Sort
Okay.
Of thing. Not really.
And that must have been just where they were when they shot it.
Yeah, just
Interesting.
footage of the band in Bulgaria. It says there's some interviews and yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another little fan club thing I'll show you. This has got more of the branding of the actual album. Same kind of thing. You've got some backstage footage and exclusive photos. The song "Devil's Party," which opens up Switch.
Yeah.
There's like an exclusive
Mix,
on
yeah.
this DVD. So
Wow.
I mean, I was pretty happy to.
So they were really working hard to promote this.
And the last thing is the INXS 6-pack. So essentially, you've got your 6 members of the band. Each one does their own kind of track. So this concept was to rekindle the age of our 7-inch B-sides. J.D. Fortune did the last one, Cigarettes and Cocaine. I actually really love that song. But
Is this kind of like what Motley Crue did with the
Yes.
Quaternary?
Yeah,
Each
that's a
member
great-
did their own song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a,
Okay.
yeah, is that Ken of Foster's? What is that?
Probably.
Here, so, a little
That the CD looks the
similar
same.
thing inside, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So some cool stuff around this time.
Yep. Now I did manage to snag a few of the CD singles from Switch. So we've got Pretty Vegas.
Afterglow.
Living in Your
If you know
Afterglow.
Pretty Vegas, you'll understand the significance of the
Oh, the megaphone.
megaphone.
Yes,
Coming
yeah.
your way to Vegas.
Yeah.
Because he sings through that during the.
Yeah, and there's a couple of different versions of that on
Yeah.
other stuff, with that more pronounced and not.
I don't know what any of the rest of this stuff is.
Oh,
you've got
okay.
here.
Well, let's show you here, Tim.
Yeah.
Okay, so INXS. So this is the first time they were having, I don't know, doubts about J.D. Fortune.
His longevity in the band.
Yeah. So they put out this, the original Sin.
Oh yes, I remember when this came out. So they had all different singers, including JD.
Yeah, J.D. on the Stairs. That's a song from X.
So these are remakes of older INXS songs.
Yeah, so this was kind of spearheaded by John Ferris, who's the drummer of the band. And they did Just Keep Walking, Devil Inside, Mystify with... I'm trying to think of some artists that you would...
Is Pat
recognize.
Monahan on here from Train?
I don't think so.
No.
That looks like John Mayer.
It does look like John Mayer.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob Thomas is on
Yes,
that,
Rob
isn't he?
Thomas
Yeah.
from 3 Doors Down.
From Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But there's nothing here on it that I mean, I really love, but...
Nothing takes the place of the
exactly, yeah.
original versions.
Yeah, and certainly not like the version of Never Tear Us Apart.
And you actually saw them on this tour again, right?
Yeah, so this is the same year that we got married. 2011 is when the tour. This came out in 2010, but I've got the managed to snag a set list from this tour. Ali went up to the stage and got it for me.
So Matt showed you the Max Q 12-inch single, but he actually has the full album.
Yep.
And for a while, I remember this, for a while when we were really first starting to find pawn shops and things, I actually saw this a fair amount.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't successful.
No.
This is the full album for Max Q from '89.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I really like the opening track sometimes. Again, a lot of it, I find it like dance music. It's very repetitive.
yeah.
Like there's not a lot of.
Is there anything on there
to
that
the-
would have worked as an INXS song?
Yeah, sometimes "Way of the World." A couple of the songs could have. It's funny, Buckethead.
Yeah.
A couple of them could have worked as INXS songs, but with a little bit more thought into the lyrics and a few little chord
band.
changes and stuff. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so Michael also was working on a solo album at the time that it was released posthumously.
Yes, it was.
Kind of
yeah.
came and went without much.
Yeah, this has got Bono.
Bono,
Yeah.
who I guess was a good friend.
Yeah.
So this is on Mercury, and it looks to me like it was a cutout because it's got a little chick
Yeah.
through it. So, what do you think of this album?
Some of it's a little depressing, a little angry. I don't listen to it a lot, but the first song, "Let Me Show You," reminds me of something off of Full Moon, Dirty Hearts.
Oh,
like
okay.
the
Dark.
progressive stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
but it's very. I mean, he doesn't look very thrilled with any of it. But I mean, it's something that he put his passion into. There's not a lot of credits and stuff in here. It's all very dark and.
Yeah, understated.
Yeah, I'll just pop open this, but I believe there's a write-up in here from Bono.
Yeah, there's very little in it, and it's that very '90s thing of
Yeah.
putting the lyrics. You turn it this way and upside
Yeah.
down, and yeah. So one more thing, and it's very cool because we talked about this. INXS did such really innovative, cool videos. And what do you got there?
Oh, okay. This is called "I'm Only Looking: The Best of INXS." Now this is a curious thing. It's got 2 DVDs on here, and the first one is, I mean, it's essentially in order with the songs. It doesn't have everything though. Like I mentioned, "Guns in the Sky" is nowhere to be found on here.
No,
which
so
I
it
thought
must
was
just have
strange.
the singles. The songs are
Yeah,
just singles.
and it's got some of the really cool live and rare stuff, like that concert from 1983 that they did. It was like
the Rock Palace.
yeah, or the US Festival.
Oh, the US
Yeah,
Festival,
the US
right?
Festival,
Because they
and-
played the New Wave Day on the US
Yeah.
Festival. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And is this the video? I remember watching one of these with you. That there's a version of "Don't Change" where it's one live track, but they use footage from various live performances throughout the years up until
Okay.
the 1997.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's really. I've looked for that on YouTube and have never been able to find it.
Yeah. Just
The booklet that came with it.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's as complete as an INXS collection as I've ever seen. I mean, not all the vinyl, but like that, some of that vinyl is just about impossible to find. Like Live Baby Live and their Greatest Hits album are, and I don't think Switch ever came
No,
out
no,
on
I've
vinyl.
looked.
And if it does come out, it'll be a reissue, and can't see
it
the
happening.
demand for that. But anyway, so Matt, thanks for going over that collection. That
Yeah,
was-
thanks for sitting in with me, and
So-
thanks for buying me some of those records, Tim.
Hope you enjoyed this special episode of Tim's Vinyl Confession.